You there, that lady on the right, you look far too comfortable. Come with me, all of you, on a journey that will make you uncomfortable. Deep into the heart of the darkness that spawned the first genocide of the 21st century, the Darfur mass murders in 2003-2004. It's February 2003, and I'm appointed to lead the world's largest humanitarian operation in Africa's biggest country that has spawned the continent's longest-running conflict and record numbers of refugees and displaced. But there are rays of hope from a political process underway, and my job is to grasp the historic moment and build peace in Sudan. Fast forward to 2004. Sit with me in Khartoum. The room is luxuriously appointed, as befits the office of the head of the United Nations in an important country. It's deliciously cool, while outside a haboob, a fierce desert sandstorm rages. It's so hot that your car tires stick to the melting tarmac. Cross-legged on the floor sits a tall, graceful African lady. But her clothes are dirty and ragged, and that's why she will not sit on my beautiful leather armchair. Aisha has somehow traveled 1,000 kilometers across the burning sands from Tawila in northern Darfur. She's obviously someone very special. Listen to Aisha's story. They raped me. They hitched up my robes, and one Janjaweed took me. Then another, then another. 12 times, I think. My old father, my husband, my 2 young sons had to watch. And as they violated me, they insulted me. They called me Zurka and Abid, dirty black slave. And they shouted how they were going to give me fine Arab babies. They did it to 100 others. Some were just girls of 6. I can still hear their screaming. Others, grandmothers of 65. It was like a factory production line. Deep into the night, and long after Aisha has left, I sit alone in my airless Khartoum office. What had made her risk life and limb to travel so far to share her intimate story of pain and suffering with a total stranger? Why did she have confidence that I would act to right her wrongs? Was it because she thought that I was the United Nations? My restless mind drifts back to all the other places that I have seen in a long career that has unfortunately turned me into a specialist on human cruelty. I think myself back to Sierra Leone in 1998. I stand by Mary's bedside in Freetown's Connaught Hospital. Her eyes mesmerize me. Deep, dark pools of liquid pain. She cradles a beautiful baby girl in her arms. Both their left arms are amputated below the elbow. I am mesmerized. Madonna with child. Such beautiful grace alongside such mindless brutality. This is the work of rebels that have been plaguing the country. And my job then, as head of humanitarian affairs of the powerful British government, is to try and help. Too little, too late, is what I think. As the Khartoum night deepens, I fly back in time to Rwanda in 1994. Congealing blood streaks down the walls of Kigali's Sainte Famille Church. Bits of flesh stick to my shoes as I wade through the piles of hacked body parts. A dead baby clings to the breast of its slaughtered mother, their brains spilling out of gaping machete wounds. But wait, a rag stirs. Miraculously, someone is alive. And as I pick up the infant, I think, how could this happen? And why did we not stop it? I take the baby to the orphanage run by Mother Teresa's missionaries, and there I learn something really amazing. When the bloodthirsty Hutu militia had demanded entry to slaughter the Tutsi orphans, the nuns from Calcutta had barred their way. On our dead body will you enter? And you know, the genocidaires went away. So while the whole world had averted its eyes from Rwanda, and even the well-armed UN peacekeepers had fled, these 5-foot little Indian women, with nothing but their faith to protect them, had saved hundreds of lives. I wonder, the strength that really matters comes from within and not from the barrel of a gun. The Khartoum night is coming to an end, but there is time for me to make one more visit to Srebrenica in Bosnia. I listened to a mother describing her final goodbyes to her teenage son as he goes off to be slaughtered, his body dumped into a ditch alongside hundreds of others. And I wonder, how much suffering can a person take? My grandmother insists on breaking through my subconscious with tales, gory tales, of the massacres that attended the birth of independent India and Pakistan in 1947. Over 1 million people were massacred. Trains full of live people were dead by journey's end. My grandma and her children were lucky because their train was protected by a young man from faraway Switzerland waving nothing more than a Red Cross flag. And so it was that my teenage father survived, and in due course, I was born. I marvel at the reckless courage of this Red Cross stranger, and I think, if I'm lucky enough to be born, it must be to do something. But what have I learned from my feverish travels? I realize that mass atrocities have occurred in every continent, every century, every culture. It seems that the propensity to commit such evil is very much part of our shared human condition. But so too is a propensity to commit good. A Swiss man in India, an Indian woman in Rwanda. It seems that humanity knows no boundaries. I also recognize that committing genocide is a hugely organized act. Only governments can do this, because only they have the means and capacities to organize on the scale necessary to achieve such drastic ends. But how do evil-minded leaders turn ordinary, decent people like you and me into mass killers? Easy. First comes dehumanization. The transported Jews were just goods during the Holocaust. The Rwandan Tutsis were insects to be crushed. And the citizens of today's Blue Nile state are simply plastic bags to be swept away on order of the Sudan regime. Then comes distancing. The further away you are from your victims, the easier it is to brutalize them. So the creation of a specific genocide-minded bureaucracy, like by the Pol Pot in Cambodia, allows many ordinary people to play their small roles in the killing process. So that each can then say, I was just doing my job. Third is desensitization. To kill one person is shocking. To kill 1 million is simply a statistic. And as the process starts, the logic of mass killing is compelling and self-perpetuating. And I saw that for myself with the attacks of Saddam, chemical attacks of Saddam on the Kurds in Halabja in northern Iraq. But back now to the reality of Khartoum. What have I actually learned from my feverish travels? I realize that these atrocities take place everywhere, and that we have to think about something about stopping them. And I look for inspiration on the thick, fat reports that are lying on my desk, the original inquiry reports into Srebrenica and Rwanda. Why did these things happen? And as I look at them, I realize in a flash why it has been said that it is only necessary for evil to flourish, for good men to do nothing. And I resolve there and then that I will not be one of those good men who does nothing. I will not hide behind the faceless institution of which I'm a high official. If the world's governments would not listen to me, I would speak to the world's peoples through the media. And that is what happens. 1 year after I arrive in Sudan, I am told to leave. My job is taken away, and I am sent death threats. All because I have dared to break the silence over Darfur. I have become a whistleblower. I do it not just for the millions who were raped, displaced, and murdered in Darfur, but for one person, Aisha. And as I go on the air to tell the whole world about Darfur, a huge weight lifts off me. I realize that I'm free again because it is individuals that make a difference. Like Aisha, who refused to stay a victim. Like the little nuns who were brave and confronted the genocidaires. Like the Red Cross man who refused to be a bystander. But it is also individuals who fail. Like leaders who are afraid to stand up to injustice and tyranny, even though they are good people. Perhaps this is because they're afraid to risk their high office, or because the pain and suffering of others does not touch them personally. Their byword is cowardice. So that's the point. Courage or cowardice? What will you choose? As we commemorate the 20th anniversary of Rwanda and the 10th of Darfur, and before we preach to others on their duty, let us reflect on our own personal responsibility to protect. Doing the right thing may not always be easy, and you may not always succeed, but you're always required to try. Thank you.